Good afternoon. This is Neil Palache, and I am your money coach here on a Monday afternoon at 5 p.m. And I am late. Sorry about that. I was actually sitting somewhere else. The internet didn't work, and anyway, here I am. So I'm looking forward to telling you all today a little bit about how math can help your money goals. How can math help with your money goals? So I'm going to give you the top six, my top six numbers. Now you might call them number tricks, or you might just call them number intelligences. Intelligences. Is there such a word as intelligences? I'm not sure. But anyway, these numbers are going to be important to you in a number of situations. And so I want you to know what they are. Now, here we go. Number one, the rule of 72. Now, some of you may already know what the rule of 72 is, but do you know the rule of 114 and the rule of 144? So I'm going to think not, but anyway, let me tell you what the rule of 72 is. So the rule of 72 is all about how quickly your money is going to double. So when you have, let's say, $10,000 in the bank, and you say, well, I would like to know how many years is it going to be at the current rate of interest that my money is going to double. Now, you would take the current rate of interest and you would divide that into 72, and that would be how long it would take for your money to double. So you say, okay, I've got 10 grand and it's invested and it's making 6%. So 6 into 72 is 12. It'll take 12 years approximately for my money to double at 6%. If you were to be making 7% a year, it would take how many? Oh, about 10 years. And if you were making 10%, it would take about 7.2 years. So now you can do the same thing with the numbers 114 and 144, in that if you wanted to know how long it would take for your money to triple, then you would divide into 114, and that would tell you how long it would take for your money to triple. So again, that $10,000, if you took the number 6, and I'm making 6% on my money every year, and you divide 6 into 114, which I can't be bothered to calculate. But if you divided 6 into 114, that would give you the number of years that it'll take for money to triple. And 144 would be the number that you would divide into to know how many years it would take for your money to quadruple. So those are the first three excellent numbers for you to know. And but although those are all in number one, those are not 1, 2, and 3. That's all number one. Now, I want you to know about the number 33 and the number 50. Why is that important? Because often people don't understand what it takes to regain money after a loss. So let's look at this. If you lose 33% on your portfolio value, so let's say that your money goes down from 100,000 to 67,000, so that would be a 33% loss. However, it does not take 33% to get back up to the 100,000, does it? It would now take 50% gain for the money to get back to 100 grand. Let's think this through. We've got 100,000 minus 33% is 67,000. 67,000 plus 50%, which would be basically 33 grand, gets you back up to 100 grand. So it may only be that your portfolio goes down 10 or 20 or 30%, but in order to get back to where you started, you have to make 50% again of what you lost for the money to get back to where it began. It's a little complicated, isn't it? But these are types of things that you need to know. Now, the number 2400. Why do you need to know the number 2400? Because most of you have been out there at one time or another buying a car. Or should I say, leasing a car. And when you're leasing a car, what do you get told about the interest rate that is being charged? Nothing. You get told basically nothing about the interest rate that is being charged on the money you're borrowing. And you say, well, I'm not borrowing any money, I'm leasing the vehicle. But you are borrowing money, even in a lease scenario. So what you need to ask your car salesperson or finance manager is, could you please tell me what the factor is, what the money factor is that you're using to calculate my lease payment? He or she will be happy to give you that number. You then take that number and multiply it by the number 2400. When you multiply it by 2400, it will give you an interest rate. Now, the factor is going to be something like 0.004976, a very small number. So when you multiply it by 2400, you are going to get a number like 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%. And you now know that you are being charged that amount of annual interest, or the equivalent of that annual interest, within the lease, so that you don't just get stuck on looking at the monthly payment and determining whether or not you can afford it. This will give you a bit better of a comparison as to what this would equal if you were actually borrowing that money. Now, the next number that I want you to know about is the number 4. Now, to be exact, I want you to know about the number 4%. Now, in some cases, you might find that 4% is 3.5%, but we're going to call it the 4% rule just for now, because this is my Periscope broadcast, and I can make that decision. So what is important about 4%? The importance of 4% is that this is approximately the amount of money that you can draw from your pool of funds at retirement without running out of money. So, in other words, if you have $1 million in your 401k, stock account, IRA, whatever it may be, that you can draw about $40,000 a year out of that money without running out of money. Now you say, well, that seems like an awfully small amount because my account is making 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. Well, look, by the time you get to retirement age, you're going to be moving the money into funds that are a little more conservative. You've got inflation to contend with. You have taxes to contend with. And trust me when I tell you, and you can look this up yourself, that the given number is 4. In some cases, as I said, 3.5%, but maximum 4% that you want to be taking out of your retirement money when you're at that point. So the number 4 is very important. Now, on the retirement area, or in the retirement area, I want to give you some interesting statistics, because as you know, we are all living longer. I think that you will agree with that. In general, life expectancy is going up, but so is the age for some people at which they die. Did you know that the fastest growing population segment of the population in the United States is our centenarians, our folks that are living to 100 or beyond? So let me tell you the number 72,000. There are 72,000, approximately 72,000 centenarians in the United States today. Now that number isn't a huge number given that we're at about 310 or so million people. But when you consider the fact that in 2010 there were 53,000 centenarians, and that the 72,000 from 2015 is a 36% increase, you'll understand that that population is growing at a rapid rate. I don't think the population of the states is growing at more than a couple of percent a year. So with that population growing at 36% in 5 years, that's about 7% a year. That is huge. And if we go back to our rule of 72, then we know that if we divide 7 into 72, then in 10 years, our $72,000 number will be, not dollar, our 72,000 people will be 144,000 people, and 10 years later will be 288,000 people, and 10 years later will be 576,000 people. The 10 years after that, we will be over 1 million, and that will be at around 2055. And they're saying that actually by 2050, we will have 1 million people in the United States who are 100 years of age or older. And here's one more bonus number for you, and that is 82%. 82% in 2010, 82% of the centenarians in the United States were female. Which is why, as you know, I work with women. Because my clients are going to live really old. Not that the men won't, but 82% of the centenarians in 2010 were women. That is quite astounding, I think, and it's a number that we should be well aware of. Before I get off the air, I would like to stress to you a strength that I have. So I'm going to do a little bit of mind reading, and I know that there are several of you, many of you, listening to this. So you'll now find out why I get paid the big bucks. So I want you to know that I am about to read your mind. I want you to think of a number between 1 and 10. And after you've done that, I would like you to double it. Once you've doubled it, I would like you to add 10 to it. And once you've done that, I would like you to cut that number in half, and then finally deduct from that number the number that you first thought of. Let's go through that again. You're going to think of a number between 1 and 10. You're going to double it. You're going to add 10. Then you're going to cut it in half, minus from that the number that you first thought of, and you will be left with, drum roll please, 5. So not only did I read your mind, but I did a mind meld, because every one of you that did that ended up with 5, didn't you? Now, if you'd like to know how that works, please post on Facebook, find Neil Palache, find thewealthcreatorcompany.com, and ask me the question, how did you do the mind reading on your Periscope today? This is Neil Palache with the Wealth Creator Company for Women. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Monday.